Hey, what's up guys? Thanks for clicking on another video. I really appreciate you being here in the knife side of the shop today. I know we've been focusing some on the mechanic shop for a little bit. That's where a lot of my focus has been. I've been trying to catch you up so I can bring you along for the start of all that. And I don't want you to be way behind delayed. So you're pretty much caught up. We're approaching opening day, but forget all about that now because we're in the knife shop. We have knife stuff going on, and what we have here is a gorgeous PUMA knife, and these are world-renowned. I don't think they're made new anymore, but in this like antique or vintage condition, they are worth a premium. This is sent in by a client for a light restoration. I'm going to take you guys through it. Before we jump into the work, guys, I just want to show you guys some of the stuff that's available on KyleNoseworthy.com, my site right now. Custom, handcrafted right from scratch. Everything is done in-house here. Limited quantities, but have a look at this tradesman pattern. The tradesman has been doing wonderful. I haven't heard a bad thing. Everybody just absolutely loves it. Any feedback I've gotten so far has been phenomenal. But have a look at that in a turquoise curly maple. Isn't that material gorgeous? Maybe you're a little more into the camouflage. Got you covered with the tradesman in a camouflage spectra ply. Another tradesman, one of a kind. Look at that scale layout. So the web store is loaded with production models. Let me show you a couple customs in production here, and the shop is in full swing. We are flat out here, but this is a scan do, custom build for a client. You can see sharpen one side, not sharpen both sides, but kind of given that look. Copper here. Look at that green burl. Hammered copper tail here. Just gorgeous, gorgeous piece. Custom built for a client. Now this next piece was not built for a client. Bit of a passion project I worked through with the last batch. I said I really want to try to challenge myself, come up with something different, and I did just that. Have a look at this piece. Have a look at this piece. 01 steel. Check this out. Look at this. Decorative file tang brass bolster here. This is a blue curly maple stabilized. And this is real abalone shell, guys. Inlaid. So this is flush. You can't feel this in the handle. This is all hand inlay set into the wood. Like I said, real abalone shell. This abalone inlay isn't real cheap, and it's it's a lot of work to do, but have a look at that. Nice heavy tang throughout here. Not full length tang, of course, but this thing just feels like butter in the hand. Saber grind, nice deep saber grind. This thing is just a jaw dropper. So happy with it again. Just look at that. Isn't that brilliant? I mean, just incredible. Hit that like button. Subscribe to my channel if it's your first time here. All kinds of stuff available at KyleNoseworthy.com across the screen there now. So go check it out. This beauty is not quite complete yet. So if you want to get your hands on this one, you have to private email me or private message me, and we can work out something that way. But this is one of a kind, quite a challenge for me, but just the results, just incredible. Now let's get on with that white whale, the PUMA White Hunter. So let's have a good look at this vintage beauty here. The sheath first off, you see we have a real coarse edge, hasn't been treated in a long time, and those edges with the welt, they're just not in alignment. So we're gonna make sure we treat that. We're going to flush grind it, hand sand it, maybe clean up a few of those pins there, do a light re-dye, we'll see. It'll be very light though if we do that. Don't need any restitching, we're not going to go that far, but we're going to bring this sheath up to what you would call near perfect condition. But now let's have a look at that beautiful knife. Look at that. This styling you see here is pretty much staple for the PUMA knife line. This blade finish, almost a polish, you know, a real high grade, very high grade satin, almost delving into a polish, an aluminum bolster, and the stag handle with these big kind of peen head pins. This is signature for for their knives. They have lots of different blade styles and different sized knives, but this right here is the signature styling that I believe all of their pieces come with. Now our client sent this in because you could see we have some light surface pitting there and a little bit of, have a look, you can probably see some horizontal scratching. Just the finish is not perfect. We're gonna stay away from here because that's where our beautiful etching is at, and it is pristine, so we're not gonna touch that. It's got a little bit of wear there actually, just the lightest hint of fading. But we're going to do a real heavy buffing session on this grind profile here, probably on the back grind as well, because we have a little bit hard to tell with the reflections, but some scratching and a little bit of pitting there. Same thing, a couple little spots on this side. It has had, look at all those little facets, some real bad sharpening. I'm thinking maybe one of those like Speed Sharp carbide scrapers. That's usually what provides those types of results, but you can see they're pretty bad. We also have, look at that, I'm not as concerned that the tang is slightly proud, that's okay, but all of this orange rust here, we do not want that on this beautiful knife. So we'll take care of all that. We'll polish in that tang, rebuff that aluminum bolster. This thing is gonna look insane. Let's get to work. Now, because I really want to rake off that pitting and remove a lot of those different micro scratches and stuff, I'm going to switch from like a flannel wheel or a standard spiral sewn like this, which is a pretty soft wheel. I'm going to switch over to what's called a sizzle wheel. And this is almost like a coarse burlap. And when it's tightly spiral sewn like this, it's pretty aggressive. You use a good compound, it can really affect a surface. Now I'll move over to the spiral sewn cotton wheel. We'll use a little bit finer compound, and that's where we'll finish up on there. So now is the point where I'm going to be extra particular. This knife was sent in for my my perfectionist touch because it was already in pretty pristine condition. It's sent in to be perfected, so that's what we're going to do. So we got some pitting and kind of a botched little back grind right here. We've got some wonky stuff going on along here. We've got that ugly rusted tang there, so we'll take care of all of this now in the belt grinder, go through a couple different grits, and then we'll go back to the buffing wheel. Maybe a little bit of hand sanding, then the buffing wheel. So you can see here we have a fairly pronounced tang gap, or gap between the scales, and that's just real easily seen. You can see I can kind of hook my knife edge in there, no problem. We don't want that there because we're going to get water creep in there if this knife is ever used. Going to get water to creep in there. It's going to sit. It's not going to want to dry out. It's going to corrode inside the tank. So this is where cyanoacrylate comes in. I'm going to just fill that gap with cyanoacrylate. I'll dry it up quick with a little bit of activator, and then we'll grind it flush again, and it'll just be seamless. Nothing will be able to get in there. It'll be perfect. It's those things you want in your toolkit to be able to fix those issues for your client. So you don't want to send it back. If we're looking for near perfection here, why send it back with those little gaps there? Unnecessary. We've also got a little bit of exposed marrow on the end. That's a little bit soft, a little bit punky. And we don't need to leave that there because, again, we have cyanoacrylate. So just add a little bit of activator. That'll fill in all those little pores. That'll just be beautiful. Okay, let's take you through that sharpening process. I'll show you what I do. This will be belt ground. So you can see my flat platen starts right here. And the crown of my wheel is about right here, of course, my contact wheel. So I have about an inch or so right here. That gives me just the mildest amount of slack. And that is just, if you experience one of these grinders, that is a difference in feel from going against the platen. And the more you spread apart, the more, of course, slack you have, like here. Okay, these belts are tensioned. So that's just the perfect amount of slack that I can control this here just perfectly. Now, in my early knife working days, I would not have dared touch a client's knife that's this valuable on a belt grinder. But at this point in my career, that's just an everyday thing. And what would take me maybe 10 minutes on the stones just took me maybe 12 seconds on the belt grinder here. Now we've got a nice smooth ground edge here, but we do have some surface scratches throughout the sheath. So I'm going to use, I think this antique finish, this Phoebing's British Tan. You can see here it's almost identical in color, but I think this will take care of most of that. It'll just even out this finish. Look, you can barely see it on the sheath. It'll just even out all those scratches and just fill all those wear marks in nicely. And with this, it doesn't soak in. It's so thick and pasty. It doesn't soak in like a liquid dye. So you apply it and then you, almost like a wood stain, you wipe off the excess. It's not a product I use often. The most time I use it is if I'm doing like a restoration or something like this to if I don't want to change the color or darken a sheath, I just want to even everything out, a nice finish. You can see now as I wipe it clean, all those scratches are just gone. It's almost like a paint correction for a car. Just replacing that old button stud with a fresh new one. That other one is a little bit small for the hole that's worn in the strap now. And this will just give a nice polished finish. Look at that. The little things. Little gum Triganth now, guys. EcoFlow product, about the only EcoFlow product that I actually like. Not a big fan of the brand, but this gum Triganth is awesome. If you already start with a smooth finish, you throw this on and then a good burnishing wheel like we head to in a minute. Oh, it's well worth the time. You can see it's kind of thick, goes on glossy like that, and this will just wait till you see the burnishing results. This is an electric motor, not a real fast 1700 RPM, but nice and strong 3/4 horse. But you don't need this much motor, an old bench grinder or something, but ideally something slower speed. But I keyweight a couple pieces of MDF, cut them rough to diameter, then I keyed them onto the shaft, set up with what made myself a little bench rest, and I laid this to a perfect diameter on the shaft. That way now there's no vibration in the machine. Sanded this down flat so it's glassy, smooth, reflective, and it just does a great job. So you can see kind of that matte finish. Let me just give it a little bit of a pass. You can see right there that reflection starting to come on. Have a look at that finished product, guys. Isn't that beautiful? Look at that leather. Look at the richness in that. Our brand new button stud. Let's just let that go. That bite's a lot tighter now. Draw out of the sheath. And there we go. Oh boy. She's sharp now, so I got to be a lot more careful handling the knife. Look at that blade, just beautiful. Some of that pitting is recessed ever so slightly. It's actually a physical, like you can feel it with your nail, a pit. Our work really took any coloring out of there and stripped it, so it's there's nothing there but clean steel pretty much. But you are going to see when the light draws across it, just like with drywall, the light hits a certain way, you can see that slight protruding screw head. The same thing here. The only way to get rid of that is completely resurface the blade, which is a project we don't want to do, and it's just not worth it with condition in this blade. Resurfaced aluminum, just gorgeous. That stag, that tang there, of course we completely refinished that, so this is perfectly flush now. Everything's ground, polished, buffed. We refinished that bone or stag surface. Just beautiful. Hope you enjoyed this one, guys. I hope the client really appreciates this brand new, essentially, creation we have here now. Just a beautiful knife, beautiful piece of history, the PUMA knives, and now this thing is in just pristine condition. Thank you guys for watching. Remember to check out my website, Noseworthy.com. Lots of great stuff just added to the website, so grab it now before it's gone. A lot of stuff. It's just 1 or 2 of each, so you'll want to make sure you don't wait around and avail of that. If you have business inquiries for marketing or for restorations, repairs, sharpening, things like that, you can go ahead, link down below. Thanks so much for watching. We'll see you in the next video.